What's up, booktube? It's Julie the Bibliophile here. After a long absence, I am back, and I figured things out with my phone, so I am here to present you a new video. So, we're here to do a book talk today, and today I am here to discuss A Little Something Different by Sandy Hall. I finished this book about a week or two ago, maybe like a week and a half ago. I gobbled it up in 2 days flat. It was the most adorable thing I have ever read, and I love adorable, fluffy romances, and this really helped to spark my reading year off good for 2016 and get my reading speed up. Now I'm reading something else that it's down again, but this definitely helped to get it up. I first heard about this book at BookCon. I got a sampler of books from Swoon Reads at the Young Adult Romance Trivia event, which I go to every year at BookCon. I love it. It's so much fun. And this was in the sampler, and I read the summary, and I never read the sample, but I remember reading the summary and the sampler and that thinking it was so cute. And then I saw it when I was in Manhattan in Barnes & Noble, and I picked it up, and I read it. And it was so cute. So the unique thing about A Little Something Different is that it's told from 14 different points of views, including a squirrel, a bench, a barista. This is about two kids in college, Leah and Gabe, who have the same creative writing class, and they're crushing on each other, but they'll never talk to each other, and the points of views are basically everyone around them observing their relationship and thinking about how they should be together. I give A Little Something Different 5 stars. It was amazing, it was adorable, and the writing style was so unique. And if you have not read A Little Something Different and you plan on it, and you don't want to be spoiled, I suggest you leave now. Bye-bye! I'm back, and now that they're gone, we're going to talk about A Little Something Different. Oh, I loved it so much. I wasn't sure how I felt about the fact that neither Leah or Gabe had a point of view in the 14 points of view. I ended up really liking that. Like, the idea of having a romance as your story and having neither of the characters involved in the romance have a perspective when you're telling in first-person point of view is a really unique technique that I think Sandy Hall captured really, really well, and I've never seen anything like it before. You know, any other book where there's a romance, you're hearing from the point of view from at least one of the characters. So you can hear what they're thinking all the time and not just what they're saying to other people or to each other. But with A Little Something Different, we didn't get that, and yet through the writing, we still got to feel the romance between Leah and Gabe because they were talking to their friends about how they felt about each other, but really, we just got to see how other people saw them, observing them, and it was like watching a TV couple. You don't know what they're thinking, but you still ship them anyway. And it was like how a couple in a TV show would be presented, but reading it through a book, but even more, like, obscure than that, because in a TV show, you might have a scene alone with the two characters. But this, you just got people observing them. So if no one else was there, we didn't get to see it. We didn't get to hear what was inside Leah's head. We didn't get to hear what was inside Gabe's head. We just got to see the other people observing it. That was so unique, and I loved it, and it created such a different kind of story that was perfect for this couple. The bench. The bench was my favorite character, and I never thought I was going to say that sentence, but the bench. The bench. I remember I started reading this book free period in my school cafeteria, and I was just sitting there with my friend. We were the only two there, and I read out loud The Bench, and I was crying with laughter. The bench's first point of view. I am the oldest bench on this green, and I get no respect. I'd like to say there are worthwhile things about the job, and maybe sometimes there are. Sometimes you get a really perfect butt. However, all rear ends are not created equal. It's just the one-liners. I'm not a big fan of this tuchus. It's ruining the quiet time I was enjoying. Sam, the good butt owner says. I imagine there's a meaningful look here, and that seems like just enough to make the best butt I've ever known stand up and walk away. The most meaningful. The bench, I mean, the writing of The Bench was another thing that proves what a good writer she is. I mean, when you're speaking as a bench and it's done well, it felt like a creative writing exercise that you would do as a free writing exercise or in a creative writing class. But no, she decided to put it into her book, and it added so much charm to the book. In addition to Squirrel, just talked about acorns all the time, there were so many charming, funny parts about this book. Now, on to the romance. I really loved the relationship between Leah and Gabe. It was so sweet, and it was adorable that they ordered the same Chinese food, and he always wanted to walk her home, but they had the most inopportune meetups, and their teacher was shipping them. And then in the end, when they finally get together, it was the most adorable thing that when he finally confessed to her how he felt. The other thing I really loved about this was the story and the mystery behind Gabe, where the whole book we're having references by Sam and Casey to Gabe's depression and little hints that something's going on there, what happened with Gabe. And there's little hints about him getting nervous in a car. I was always wondering if he hit someone in a car accident, if he killed someone. And then you find out that, by the end, you do find out that Gabe was in a car accident and he broke his elbow and lost hearing in one of his ears. But I loved there was that added element of mystery that because we don't get Gabe's point of view, we're never told exactly what it is until the end. And when he's having a conflict with Leah. And I just think, again, it was really added a depth to the story outside of the fluffy romance, which was the main focus, but it added a more adult feel to the novel rather than too much fluff, too cute to be too juvenile. It added some depth and maturity to the novel that really made the whole thing come full circle. And the other thing I loved about the 14 points of view here, which is what I'm mainly talking about because it was so unique, I loved every single one of the characters. Every single one of the characters had their own depth and story and complexity, and we knew each one of these characters, the voices were different, and they were each lovable in their own way. Even the characters that didn't have point of views, we had the two baristas, and the one of them who was talking about shipping them, and the other one who hated Gabe initially, but then grew to love him just watching him with Casey and being so enthralled. Oh my god, Inga, the creative writing professor, was so adorable how much she wanted them to be together. And then her and her wife, we had her wife's point of view. And then of course Sam and Casey. Then of course we have Victor and Hillary, the two students from the creative writing class who were really kind of assholes. But then we see Hillary has a crush on Gabe, and that's what mainly what she's focused on, and she's wondering why he's focusing on Leah. And then we have Victor, whose point of view I really loved because all he ever talked about was hating them, but then you see him evolving to talking about how much he hates them, evolving into like, oh my god, why won't they just talk to each other? Why won't they get together? Why won't they, like, kiss? And Victor, despite hating them, shipping them as well. And I was just looking through some of my folded down passages, and I discovered something I totally forgot about when they read in the creative writing classes about their personal stories, and when they had to write about someone else, describing someone else without using any adjectives, and they talked about each other, and it was so cute. Oh my god, just everything about this book. It was hysterical, it was adorable, and it was really just what I needed to start off the year. So definitely pick up A Little Something Different by Sandy Hall if you haven't already. And if you haven't already and you just heard me say that, well, then you just got spoiled. But if you have read this book, please let me know what you thought of it in the comments below and how you felt about the 14 points of view, because I loved it. Alright, from now on, I put up new booktube videos every Friday and vlogs about TNT's The Librarians every Sunday. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you next week. Bye! And this is about these two kids in college, Gabe and I forgot her name already.